those kids a choice. And so another one is to address the issue of illegal aliens and the relocation of so-called refugees in the state. The federal government is bringing in. We had an interstate compact bill last session that got out of the Senate but was killed in the House. We're coming back with another one this session that would give us the ability to take control of our borders and the immigration here in Texas, since the federal government has failed in their action. We've got to change the way we're going about building highways in Texas. About 15 years ago, two people, I call them the Rick brothers, Rick Williamson and Rick Perry, decided that instead of raising taxes, we would use transportation funding money to fund other parts of the government. And over a period of time, we drastically reduced the percentage of the budget going into highway transportation, which is a core function of state government to provide good highways. And we allowed the building of new roads to be taken over by foreign corporations building toll roads that have cost us an incredible amount of money. We have to move away from that. And we have some really good ideas on how to get back to building roads, more roads for less money that will be introduced next time to eventually get rid of toll roads. One of the last bastions of government regulation is in the title industry, in which Texas folks in buying, selling property, we pay the highest rate for title insurance, or nearly the highest in any state in the nation, because it's dictated by the state government. I think we're going to move this into the free market and let the market decide on what we pay, and that will be a real boost to our economy in doing that. One of the bills, acts that was put into place several years ago is called asset forfeiture, and we're going to look at some reform on this. This is a process in which if you are suspected of committing a crime and have had gains from it, they can take those gains and take them away from you through a civil process, whether you're ever convicted or not. Now, those that argue for it will say, you know, we stop a guy in a car, he's got a trunk full of drugs and a suitcase full of money. He's obviously committed some crime there, so we're going to take his drugs and his money, and we're going to use that money to buy us police vests or cameras or something like that. Well, that'll all take place before the person's ever convicted. That case is not what we're talking about trying to solve, because like a lot of bills, the unintended consequences of how they're used is what's created the problem. In this case, we have some law enforcement agencies that have twisted this a bit to the point where a grandmother who goes and takes out $12,000 from her savings account to drive across town and buy her grandson a graduation present, an automobile gets stopped for running a red light, and they use this law to take her $12,000 away from her, and it cost her $12,000 to try to ever get it back. That's what we've got to put it into, and that's what we'll be working on. After this is over with, if somebody has some questions on some of these, I'd be glad to talk with you about on them. I'm going through real fast. Driver Responsibility Act. This is appeared to be a good concept on paper. Has worked out to be a disaster as far as people are concerned, where when it was designed to take a habitual drunk driver or speeder off the road, and instead it has driven a number of people into debt that they'll never get out of, caused them to lose their insurance and driver's license. We got 1.5 million drivers around Texas today that don't have a driver's license. See, when they passed this, they thought if you take a person's driver's license away from them, they couldn't drive a car. And guess what? You don't use the driver's license to drive a car. He only needs the key. And it didn't stop them. Another one that's come out is we have had a growth in gun-free zones that came up after this past lesson when we passed the open carry with the 30-07 sign. A number of businesses started putting up 30-06 signs also, which prohibit the carry of either a concealed weapon or open carry by a law-abiding citizen have a license, by otherwise eroding more of our Second Amendment right, our God-given right to defend ourselves. We're looking at ways to try to reduce, minimize, if not eliminate, gun-free zones. Andy's Law is a fairly new one. This came about as a result, it's being developed in other states as a result of the incident in San Bernardino, where people knew about the terrorists and their activities, but they were afraid to say something because they were afraid of retaliation from it. This is going to bring a level of immunity for people who suspect a terrorist activity and report it, so we get more of it. American laws from American courts, absolute no-brainer. I mean, this should have passed in Texas, you know, with no questions asked. It didn't. We're gonna make another run at it so that we direct our judges to make decisions based on American, Texas, or federal law only, not foreign law, including Sharia law. Sanctuary cities, we have them in Texas, mostly in the bigger cities. It is leading to crime upon crime upon crime by repeat offenders. Where the federal government is actually moving to take some action against sanctuary cities. We're going to do it in Texas here also. Another one that's of interest because of the free markets, we've got government regulation where we absolutely don't need it. Raw milk is, whether it's from cows or goats. We have police harassing the producers of this, and so we've got to put an end to this and open this up as a free market because things are not like they used to be, and there is no longer a health issue, a safety issue with this when it's done right any more than any other food. So we're going to take this on. And next to last, religious freedoms. They're being eroded rapidly, and as quick as we can come up with ways to try to protect our religious freedom, the courts are finding a way around it. I can't say that I feel very confident that we're going to come up with laws that the courts won't overturn, because we now have courts with judges in them that absolutely disregard the Constitution. They just make the decision based on their opinion, right out of the Supreme Court and the others that have absolutely no rationale, because, and we get to this thing of case law versus what the Constitution actually says. But we're going to be going after trying to protect the florist, the shop owner, the adoption agencies, and things like that this next session. And the last one I want to talk about is election integrity, an extremely big problem here in Texas. It has been for a while. We've had leadership that keeps sweeping under the rug, but I think it's festered to the point now that some of us are going to make enough noise on this that we're going to get something done. But I'll tell you this, there is not an election that's taken place since we put electronic voting in place that you can actually say with any level of confidence that the results that have come out of that election was the intent of the voters that went there and voted. You cannot do that. You cannot today do a recount of any vote in which electronic machines are used and have any confidence that what you're doing is coming out of it. So that's a big one. Now,